probably shouldn't have been surprised by Arizona and UCLA. I was. Love Coach Miller. He's done a great job. I look at UCLA, I think, there's a team that can win a championship. What did that win mean to Arizona?
It was massive, and I think it establishes the Wildcats as a legitimate Final Four contender, maybe even national championship contender, because they've been piecing it together for a while. Alonzo Trier obviously was out for much of the season because of a failed PED test, but he returns in that game for UCLA, and they really handled the Bruins from start to finish. So it suggests that Arizona can actually get Sean Miller to his first Final Four. And it also highlights UCLA's problems on the defensive end of the court, because they are historically great on the offensive end of the court. But here's the truth. No team in the Ken Pom era, which dates back to 2002, has ever had a defensive efficiency rating as poor as UCLA's is right now.
Wow.
So if UCLA is going to make the Final Four, they've either got to do something that's never been done or get better defensively.
Can both Arizona and UCLA make a Final Four run, in your opinion?
Sure. You got to put 4 teams in it, right?
Yeah.
And they are, I think, 4 of the teams that can reasonably dream about going to a Final Four. Everybody, you get in that bracket, you know, we've seen VCU get there, we've seen George Mason get there, we've seen Butler do it twice, we've seen 8 seeds get there. Everybody has a chance. That's one of the beautiful things about that tournament. But if the question is who can realistically expect to make a run at it, absolutely UCLA, Arizona, and then also in the Pac-12, Oregon, with a healthy Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, I loved Oregon preseason. You're right, Dylan Brooks needs to be healthy. And we know what happened with Arizona, Wichita State in the NCAA tournament. There's history there. Wichita State, Southern Illinois, on after us on Time to Shine. What's the upside for Wichita State this season, in your opinion?
Anytime Greg Marshall's coaching a college basketball team, they're going to be relevant. And they still are this year, even though they are unranked. And they don't have, like, quality wins. You look at the resume, there's not a whole lot there. But they do have a Ken Pom ranking of 25. And here's why that's important. Used to, the selection committee didn't pay attention to that, or at least they didn't publicly acknowledge it. Now they do. They brought in all sorts of analytics-driven minds into Indianapolis last week. And one of them was Kim Pomeroy. One of them is the man who runs that site. And here's something interesting. Past 9 years, no team with a top 25 Ken Pom ranking has ever been left out of the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
That's not happened past 9 years. Wichita State right now, top 25 in Ken Pom. So the resume, if you just look at it on the surface, not much there, but the computer numbers are strong, and that could benefit them on Selection Sunday if they need an at-large.
I'm excited to watch them on CBS Sports Network tonight. How about Duke? I mean, what happened last night?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. It's one thing, like I wrote at CBSSports.com, to lose a neutral court game early in the season when some of your most talented players are in street clothes like they lost to Kansas early in the season. Another thing to go lose at Virginia Tech, go lose at Florida State, go lose at Louisville, places like that. Lose a home game to North Carolina State. It's a North Carolina State team that had lost previously to the teams that were picked 14th and 15th in the ACC preseason poll.
Crazy.
There's only 15 teams in the ACC. So what that means is last and next to last. And so to take that one at home when they're like a 16.5-point favorite, that's bad. And they're just not working right now. They are obviously missing Mike Krzyzewski. They don't have a natural point guard on the roster. Grayson Allen is not even close to the same player he was last year. Harry Giles, their most heralded recruit, still is trying to work his way back from multiple knee surgeries. I'm not pretending that they've got no chance, because when Mike comes back, that team is still talented enough to do special things. But do they look like it right now? Not at all. And the next two are on the road, so good luck.
And Gary, watching the second half last night, they were unglued.
Yes.
I mean, that's not something you expect from a Duke basketball team.
The point you're making is something I noticed as well. You get down in like the final 2-3 minutes. North Carolina State took a 6-point lead, and it was like they were trying to get it all back on one possession.
Yeah.
Had plenty of time, but I believe it was three-pointer, miss. And they still had a chance at the end. Jason Tatum, turnover, resulted in a Dennis Smith dunk after the horn. But they did seem to lack composure in the final minutes, and that's not something I expected from this team. I didn't expect all these losses from this team either. Remember, that was the consensus preseason #1.
I thought they'd win it all this year. Why is it always something with Grayson Allen? I still go back to last time you were on, and Mike Krzyzewski decided one game was enough for Grayson Allen. I think he failed Grayson. I think he failed Duke basketball. And Grayson Allen, he's not the same physically. He's not the same mentally. What's the deal here with Grayson Allen?
You know, I'm not a psychologist. I can't figure it out, but it does seem that something's not right with him. I mean, even last night, it was mostly nothing, but he did walk through the NC State huddle, which created, as you put it, another something.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why do you have to walk through
Just
there?
walk the other way.
Just walk the other way. It's very simple. Like, you started at the other end of the court. You could have gone around that. He went through that for some reason. Now, it didn't lead to a fight or even, anything that got the officials' attention, but it was an unnecessary something. And it seems like at this point, this is just going to be a deal. Perhaps if we'd have watched closer the first 2 years of his college career, we'd have noticed little things as well. But now everybody is watching every step, every move, and it does, like you said, seem to be something every game.
And look, Mike Krzyzewski to me is the best coach in the history of college basketball. But I think he had an opportunity to save Grayson Allen and or Duke if he would have given him a legitimate suspension. Now he spiraled out of control.
It certainly is fair to make that point.
Yeah.
When Mike brought him back after one game, people were saying exactly what you're saying. I think you were saying exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
The kid, there's no way he learned his lesson with just a one-game suspension. And I think if you were Mike or a Duke fan, you were hoping that Grayson could walk a straight line, just stay out of anything, and then you could say, see, I knew how to handle my player. But it has been one little thing after another. Nothing massive, but little thing after another. And like I said, when's it going to go away? I'm not sure.
How good is Gonzaga?
Very good. This is a team that Mark Few can get to the Final Four with. And it's interesting, he's pieced it together in a unique way. Their top four scorers are all four guys that didn't play for him last year. A couple transfers. Karnowski was hurt.
That's crazy when you think about it.
Right, a freshman. Gonzaga doesn't usually rely on freshmen. They are in this season. You know, I've mentioned the KenPom rankings multiple times already. I'll do it again. If you go there, number one in the country. That's Gonzaga.
Wow.
And that's not.
I didn't realize that.
That's not a West Coast bias thing. That's not your eyes are lying to you thing. That's not I'm infatuated with the 20-0 record. That's an unbiased algorithm that tells you this is the best team in the country right now. It suggests that Gonzaga on a neutral court would be expected to beat anybody else in college basketball. So, yeah, they're 20-0, and some of that has to do with they play in the West Coast Conference, not the ACC. But this is a quality basketball team that can, at least on paper, it looks like, go win the whole thing.